Captain Insano shows no mercy, no mercy, no mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Straight cash, homie.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day for your ass.
Well, it was a long day for your ass too, Khalil. I mean, it was a long day for me, and it was a long day for the Chicago Bears. It's not pretty. 26-6, the score is with about 2:23 left. The clock is rolling. Not a good day for the Chicago Bears. The wheel just got snatched from their chest, Marco, late in that fourth quarter, or I'll say late in the third. So you saw the writing on the wall that nothing was going to happen. There was going to be no type of special comeback. Justin Fields struggled. I mean, okay, he's a rookie. I was hoping for a better performance, but we talked about the play calling in the first half. We talked about how the play design was going to be. I spoke on play design. Who's going to design the plays for Justin Fields today? How are you going to protect him? How are you going to get him moving? We didn't see him moving till the second half, and it was almost like, it was almost like you had to do it. It was almost like they were forced to get him moving because everything else wasn't working, and the Bears were just unprepared. It was an embarrassing loss to the Cleveland. They, at a certain point, the commentating crew, Greg Olson and I forgot the other guy's name. I'll probably see it again, but they were talking about they might as well be $1 million. The Cleveland Browns might as well have been up 42-0 because there was no way the Chicago Bears were going to get into the end zone. And you spoke on that when Justin scrambled, and it wasn't the play broke from the jump. So Justin got the ball and was just outside, trying to get Mooney out, and he had him and this is all part of him learning. Justin struggles, he's a rookie. I'm fine with it. He had no time whatsoever. The line was getting destroyed.
Yes.
Destroyed. He had zero time. He had about 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Almost. Come on. I haven't seen something like that since the New York Giants came to town and sacked Jay Cutler 7 times. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It was that bad. I think today was worse. You get down into the red zone off of a penalty that was probably a gift from God. You got that pass interference call, and you decide to settle for 3. You decide to settle for 3, knowing that your offense has struggled the entire game, knowing that you have not been able to just with ease get into Browns territory. You decide to settle for a field goal. When in the Rams game, lights are on, cameras are on you, and we're like, let's go for a 4th down right now, first quarter. We're going for it. Like a dumbass, right? The coach is so ass backwards. The show is on him. That's why I feel like the show is on him. You have to take those points. You have to go for 7.
Yeah. You
have to get 6. You got to get 6. We talked about it. Touchdowns. Don't settle. That's settling in a game that's close. You were down. What was it? 13-3. You're down 10. You make it a 3-point game, and now they have to pick things up.
Yeah.
They have to pick things up. Your defense gets a boost because you just scored a touchdown with Justin Fields, right? Your defense gets a boost. Your defense steps up against that offense, probably gets the ball back for you. Then you never know. What if they get a sack? They were getting to Baker Mayfield. I don't blame this on the defense whatsoever. This was a typical Chicago Bears football game. I mean, and I'm talking about the classics, bro. All you guys know, all you Bears fans know out there that are older, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Defense does it all. The offense ain't shit. You leave the room when the offense comes on the field because you know what's going to happen. Anything from the offense is, oh wow, that's gravy. Hopefully the defense gets three interceptions and we can go ahead and score off of 2 of those.
Yeah.
It's sad when we're back to square one with the Chicago Bears, when this guy was brought in to make this offense. I know it's a rookie quarterback, but we mentioned it before. You only have one passing touchdown from your quarterback, Andy Dalton, your starter, Andy Dalton, in 2 games. And I know he went out the last one. He could have might have gotten some more. But you only managed to muster up 1.
Yeah.
1. And this isn't new because we saw it with Mitch last year.
Yes.
We saw it with Nick last year. The play calling is bad. It's That's the name of that's it. There's no way around it. Your play calling is bad. There's no moving pocket. Justin has to, and Justin is realizing how fast the game is. Yeah. Everybody now realizes Justin isn't going to just be able to tuck and go. It's not. It doesn't work that way. With a quarterback like this, with a rookie like this, you need somebody that knows how to drive the car. And Matt Nagy is doing nothing but wrecking it. Dude, he's flooding the engine. Yeah, the guy's flooding the engine. That's what Matt Nagy's doing.
And in all honesty, watching that game, that particular drive where the Bears finally got in the red zone after a game, after a first half of just struggling just to get in there, finally get to the red zone and they settle for a field goal. Mm-hmm. What a way to generate any sort of comeback as far as the Chicago Bears are concerned today. It was just a position where I felt honestly comfortably watching the Bears should go for it on fourth down right here. They're they're in the red zone. They haven't been there all game. What do you have to lose now at this point? Cleveland's dominating the game defensively. You might as well just go for it. You have nothing to lose at this point. And they settle for 3 points. It just makes no sense. And it really, to me, that really dictated the ball game right there, because after a whole game of not doing it, and when you're finally there, you don't do it. That's like, okay, you know what? The Browns are going to come out with a victory today. That's just not, because chances are, when are you going to go back in the red zone?
Exactly.
This game.
Exactly.
When is that going to happen? So at this point, you have nothing to lose, and that's just the reality of the game. You're not gonna stay in it with just field goals. That's just, I'm sorry, but you can't win a ball game on just field goals when your offense is getting murdered like that.
And he doesn't understand situations. That's a perfect time to go for it, because you weren't doing the job on offense. They were kicking your ass. Period. You got lucky. You need to score. That needs to be 6. Yeah. It's just a disappointment. That's what these Chicago Bears are. A disappointment. It doesn't matter what way you look at it. You're not living up to what you came in here to do. I don't need you to go ahead and put on a George Halas fucking costume. I don't need you to sit at the podium and give me a big smile and just feed me the shit. Like, feed me your BS. Yeah. Right? Feed me the BS so I could go ahead and just be happy with my week. Be ready to go root on the Chicago Bears on Sunday. Yeah. That's you're full of shit. Yeah. Like, the coach is full of crap. The 4-year plan, you're on a 4-year plan. A 4-year plan for your offense, coach. You're stealing paychecks, coach. Yeah. You're trying to buy your time until you get the right mix together that's going to save you. You know what? Andy Reid has the same thing. The Chiefs are struggling right now. Just threw an interception off of a broken play. You got a guy here that's not Andy Reid, right? That hasn't gone through the fire like Andy Reid, that doesn't have the personnel, right? But wants to act like he's the Chiefs. Bro, the talent of the Chiefs saves them half the time. Yeah. The talent of the Chiefs bails them out time and time again. Yes. There's a meme out there. It's like, I think Kenneth Davis from the Uncensored podcast on Sean and Maya, he had mentioned it. Here's a meme out there with Mahomes. Drops back. Man, fuck it. I think Tyreek's out there somewhere. Just the players bail him out. You can't even get you don't have the same type of talent on that offensive line to start, and your receivers don't seem to get open. Your receivers don't seem to be open. I know Justin's holding the ball a little quick, but your receivers are running routes that aren't quick routes. Yeah. They're not quick routes. And what are the cornerbacks doing? Sitting on the curls. Yeah. Sitting on what's short. They're just waiting for a mistake from Justin Fields. I thought he was going to get picked. Yeah. I was waiting for a pick 6 because they were just sitting on the short shit because you weren't going to. They had no threat. They feared nothing from a Matt Nagy offense. Yeah. That's the problem.
Predictability.
And he's at fault. There's no way. There's no life. At times, you could beat a bad team, and all of a sudden we're right back in it. You know what I mean? We got the swag, we got that pep in our step, club dub. Yeah. And then you go out and you get a real team, and they go ahead and punch you in the mouth. Yeah. And you go ahead and you're going to give us some excuses. And I bet you that's what he's doing in this post-game interview. Yeah. I bet you that's what he's going to give us, more excuses.
Absolutely. And they brought up Greg Olsen and the other commentator on today's game on Fox. They brought up a very interesting quote that that said that the Bears coaching staff they were brought in to win games and ultimately to keep their jobs, and there was so much comedy to that quote because it's like you're right, a coaching staff is brought in to win games, but when you're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over again, yet you still have a job, it really makes you question just how serious your organization takes a team and how serious they take winning as a whole. Because I'm sorry, the predictability with Matt Nagy has just become so severe that I'm sorry, but if you're the opposing team and you see the Chicago Bears on the schedule, you're automatically summing up your. If you're not telling yourself that's a win right there, then I'm sorry that there's no fear. There's no fear there.
Yeah, there's none.
And
there's no fear. There's no fear of the Chicago Bears. The what are you going to fear? The defense that as soon as you get into the third quarter, they're dog tired because they've been trying to keep the team in the game the entire first half because you have no threat.
Yeah.
Because you have no threat. There's nothing. Your scheme is shit. Your offensive line is in shambles, right? And we talked about how good they did. They did a decent job last week. They did, but this was a different defense than the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
These are different players than the Cincinnati. They know they're good.
Yeah.
And they're getting after it. And it was an expose on how badly run the Chicago Bears are at this point. How the duct tape is starting to peel off, right? It can no longer hold.
Yeah.
How many more embarrassing losses are we gonna take this year? Because I don't think this team. I was thinking 8 or 9 wins. Now I'm thinking 5 or 6 wins, and you don't even have a first round draft pick to show for it next season.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's true. I mean, what else can be said about the Chicago Bears going forward? I mean, it's unknown. It's an unknown. It's unknown territory when Andy Dalton's coming back. Not that he's going to make much of a difference because from the looks of it, the play call is still the same. So it doesn't matter who's at the helm right now. Dalton, Foles, Field. It just doesn't matter because the play calling is ultimately what's burying the Chicago Bears team.
Nick Foles, and I showed Emily the same thing. I forgot where I saw it, but there's a clip of Nick Foles, and you can see it. And if you're, I'm not a professional mouth reader, but if you look at it a few times and watch it. It looks like he's telling Andy Dalton, it doesn't matter. The offense doesn't work. Shit. We could have told you that, Nick. Like, everybody knows this, Nick. And now your players are saying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now your players recognize it. It was interesting that they were talking about the future and Justin Fields being the future and is he the future? It's not, is he the future of the Chicago Bears? Because he's obviously the future of the Chicago Bears. If you think it was Justin Fields' fault today, you're not watching the right type of football, or you're not watching it right. You have a guy in Justin Fields who obviously was going to struggle, but you have this coaching staff that might not be here. They might not be the future of Justin Fields.
Yeah. Right.
His struggle now could have nothing to do with them next season because they could be all gone.
Yeah.
Right. His progression now could, and they mentioned it, maybe that's part of the reason why they were like, Andy's going to be the starter. We're going to see how this offense progresses and see if this offense works before we go ahead and throw in Justin. And if that's the case, shit, you're going to have to sit the man.
Yeah.
If the organization doesn't believe it, why did you keep him in the first place coming back? And maybe it's because you didn't want to pay 3 head coaches, but why, or 2 head coaches, but why even give him the second opportunity?
Yeah.
And then give him the opportunity to go trade up in the draft and get a quarterback.
Absolutely.
And if Justin didn't have that talent and they made another decision at quarterback that I didn't like, where would we be right now? What if they took a gamble on somebody, you know what I mean? What if they took a gamble on a guy that we never saw coming, right? Yeah. And Justin's fell. The trust level with this organization is just at 0. It's at 0.
And I mean, you have to make assumptions here that at some point he's just going to completely lose that locker room. And but even then, like I feel foolish saying that just because you got flashes of that last season. Mm-hmm. You get players on the sideline, talking, pretty much, getting calls saying, hey, this just isn't working for us.
Yeah.
So at that point you have to come to a reality that the players aren't satisfied with what they're seeing on the offensive side of the ball.
Guys want to win.
Yeah, and because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
You played pro sports for a reason, right?
You play to win the game.
Yeah.
You play to win. You don't just play. You play to win the game. Shout out to Herm Edwards.
And the embarrassing part is, for a good chunk of my lifetime, one of the biggest rivalries in sports, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. It's even a shaming here. It's a shame calling it a rivalry because it's been so one-sided for so long. But that's because you have a team who actually breeds football versus a team who's just ran by people who don't really care.
They inherited football.
Yeah,
is what they did. They inherited football was given to them, and they didn't know what to do with it. That's what it is. That's how I see it. They inherited a team. They have no clue on what to do with it now, and now they're just looking at money. They're just looking at stats. Like they're reading stats. Like stats tell the whole truth.
Yes.
They're reading this. They're reading their money line. Their bank check. Their checkbooks. They're reading those and like, man, we're $1 billion franchise. Look at us. Let's call it a day. And they do spend. They'll spend on defense. They just don't make smart decisions when it comes to coaching personnel. And I feel like it's the fear of getting a Ditka. It's the fear of being that tough, nasty locker room full of mean motherfuckers that don't give a shit. You talked about an image before, Marco. Why are we like? And I mentioned it in the pregame. You want the guy? Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mrs. McCaskey. Golly, Mrs. McCaskey, we sure will go get him on Sunday. We're definitely gonna give it our best try. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. Bruce Arians, you mentioned the Bruce Arians story. Bruce Arians came in expecting to talk football, and you want to talk PR bullshit, politically correct BS. You want to talk that over football with the head coach that's trying to come in and lead your franchise.
A man who just won the Super Bowl.
A man who just won the Super Bowl.
Last season, yes.
Can you imagine if Bruce Arians is here this entire time? And he built whatever team he's built, right? Something I would imagine similar to the Bucs. And he got a Tom Brady in here last year, right? And we won the Super Bowl. Would you be sad as a Bears fan? Awesome.
With a solid defense.
With a solid defense, awesome. And Tom doesn't. And then you could still go ahead and draft your franchise quarterback. You can still do that. It does like the thing, and that's neither here nor there. But my point is, you don't want to talk football with the guy that's leading your football team. That isn't good. That's not being about football.
Yeah.
That goes to show me you're all about the dollars. You don't care as long as you're in the green every year and they still keep buying those tickets. They still keep putting on those Bears jerseys. They still keep putting on the memorabilia. It doesn't matter to them. That's how I see it, dude. That's how you pointed it out. You being a Titans fan, that's how you've seen it. That's how Chicago sees it. That's how everybody sees it, but the Chicago Bears front office.
And we were talking during the game. I even told you during a certain point in the game, looking at my watch here, it's the 26th of the month, I believe. I give it about 3 more weeks before they roll out the 85 Bears again. Keep the fans cheering the greatest defense ever sold. But you know what? It's 2021. It's 2021. It's a whole new team.
I remember. Dude, I can't do it again. I can't, and we are. This season is not. I mean, I look for them to be a back end team. I think they'll pick it up at the end. But I knew the front half of that schedule, you ain't gonna get out of there without unscathed, and they're gonna take a lot of lumps. It's not gonna be pretty moving forward, man. It's not gonna be pretty moving forward. You got Green Bay in 3 weeks, and in between you got a couple of tough matchups. You're looking at this offensive line like Jason Peters. You're just. I mean, you're not. Obviously, we knew we weren't going to get Pro Bowl Jason Peters, but you're struggling. Obviously, the speed is too much for you. The speed, and we talked about the speed of Justin Fields. He's not running away from nobody, dog.
Yeah. He's
not just going to jet. And you have to. I give him credit because he kept looking downfield. That's the one thing I want him to do. Is like, if you're going to scramble, still try to make a play downfield. But you got no protection.
Yeah.
And you're not designing the protection to protect him. You're just like, hey, Justin, drop back, and then if you have to, roll left. If you have to, roll right. And it wasn't wasn't what you want to see with a guy that's talent should be used. You should be able to see it at full display. He didn't get any reps with the ones in the preseason, and everybody and Matt Nagy and them acted like it wasn't anything.
Yeah.
And now they're shocked. They were shocked. Oh my God, he could do all this stuff. Well, how are you going to design plays for him, coach? Are you going to design these plays for him so where he, has to go ahead and try to scramble while he's still trying to look downfield? I said he's a quarterback. He's a pocket passer who can happen to run a 4-4. If you're able to go ahead and use his legs, move him out with the line, 1 read, 2 read. Like, you can do that. Don't make him Lamar Jackson. Don't have him don't have him run. Don't tell him to just run. He needs to be able to look downfield, and you can design plays for that. Those weren't there.
And and then you got to look at the big picture here. Hearing these little comments that I think speak volumes, quite honestly, about Matt Nagy. Going back to last week when he was talking about, we didn't know Justin Fields could do that. Who exactly was in the film room when you guys drafted this guy? Did you guys just go for a big name at that point, or did you guys actually study what this man is capable of doing? Very good quarterback. And in all honesty, I think for the Chicago Bears right now, what they need to focus on is the fact that Justin Fields, obviously this is his first year in the NFL. From the looks of it, he was put in this situation. I mean, not from the looks of it actually happened, but Andy Dalton went down. Now he's a starting, starting quarterback in Chicago. If Bears football cares about winning, you get the guy at the helm, or you get the guy coaching out of there. You pretty much you have to get rid of him. You have to bring in a coaching staff that can look at Justin Fields from top to bottom and say, you know what, we have a very young quarterback here. We're going to work with what you're good at. We're going to work around you. We're going to surround you with what you need in order to succeed here. But from the looks of it, based on years past, I'm sorry, it's hard for me. It should be hard for any fan 5-6 years from now and say, hey, this guy, he wasn't that good. It's like, no, he just wasn't put in a position to succeed. Yeah, that's just the reality of it. I do think he's a very talented quarterback. I really do think he's the future of the Bears. But if this continues, there's going to come a point where you can't say that anymore, because you know what? A certain particular individual ruined those good years for him, where he had a potential to grow.
We said this. We mentioned it with Mitch, and Mitch's faults are Mitch's faults too. He has his, but you didn't use him to the best of his skill set, and that's point blank. Period. Yeah. Right? He might not have the best deep ball accuracy. Well, then use what's best. Scheme. He doesn't know how to do it. The thing is that I just don't believe he knows how. I think he wants to see it a certain way, and that's that. He doesn't want to work around it. He wants it his way, and that's that, because he wants to. I feel like he wants to have this like invented new offense. Like he wants the greatest show on turf. Yeah. To where he puts his name on it. It's Matt Nagy's offense that did this. But it's Matt Nagy's offense that's doing that and not scoring touchdowns week in and week out. And there's no way around it, man. Like I said, there's no way around it. You're tired. You get tired of saying it. Everybody else sees it. Everybody around the country sees it. The Bears don't see it. The Bears don't see it. The Bears see a great guy, a good family man. That's all night. And I'm not saying you don't have you have to be some low life piece of shit to be the head, nasty to be the head coach. No, you just need to know what you're doing. Yeah. And you need to know when you're outmatched. And I don't think Matt Nagy understands that. I don't think he understands that with that BU philosophy, because it just seems to me like he still has a player-like mentality when it comes to coaching. It just and I don't know.
It almost makes you think. I mean, obviously, sports.
It's the most frustrating thing I have experienced.
Sports doesn't work in the way of like what if, what if this, what if that, because you'll never know the true answer to that. But you look at a prime example of like, what if you took a Dan Campbell and put him in, as a coach of the Chicago Bears, a very no BS coach. Obviously, from the looks of it, he doesn't, give 2 cents about the PR and what they think about what he says. But that's the kind of mentality that you want with your team. And I get it. Maybe they're not media friendly, but you know what? It's not the media winning football games here. It's the coach. It's the coaching calls. It's the play calls. It's your offense. It's your defense. It's everything all in one. But when you're only so concerned with one side of the ball, and you've clearly proven you don't understand one of those sides, I'm really not sure why you're getting a paycheck at this point.
It's a popularity. It's all political there. That's what it is for the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are a political organization that are disguising themselves as a football team. That's how I feel. Like they're a group of people who are just trying to get status and recognition for things, and they're using the football team to do it, but they don't give a shit about the football team as much as they should, because they're leaving it to people who aren't good at doing their job. And that's 4 years. It takes 4 years for somebody's offense to click. Why? Why should it take that, coach? Why should it take 4 years for things to get going? Like it just sounded like you were trying to buy yourself time from the jump. It's all smoke and mirrors with this coach, man. It's all smoke and mirrors with this coach.
I mean, he was banking. They're getting paychecks of nicknames of years past. Monsters of the Midway. It's there's nothing monstrous about that team anymore. And it's I think as from a football point of view, watching a team like the Chicago Bears, it's just there's nothing intimidating about that team. It's like it's pretty sad that as a fan I get to call. I bet you I know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
It's pretty depressing.
Pretty depressing, man. It's pretty depressing. But let's go ahead and get off the Bears for a second. I know the Titans had got the victory 25-16 over the Indianapolis Colts. And you know what? Good for you. Like, at least somebody gets to be happy today. Looking at Carson Wentz, to stay on the Colts side for a second. Carson Wentz 19-37, 194 yards. So I guess the ankle wasn't too bad. The Tennessee side, 18-27, 197, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks is Ryan Tannehill, 113 yards on 28 carries, no touchdowns for Derrick Henry. And, you got the victory, man. We couldn't, we weren't able to watch it.
No.
We thought it was going to be up on CBS, but CBS didn't have an early game scheduled. So I guess we missed out on it. Well, you were keeping up with it on the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest concern today was AJ Brown went out the game with a hamstring issue, and hopefully it's one of those injuries that it's going to keep him out just maybe 1 week. But I got hamstrings always tend to linger, so hopefully going forward it's something that's not long term. So AJ Brown, losing him for the game today. I mean, obviously they still got the victory, but going forward, it's something we could dearly miss.
Yeah, I mean, luckily you got a number one in Julio.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got another guy on the other side, so there is a threat. It's not like you're not depleted, but that's a huge weapon.
Yeah,
that's one that could potentially be out. I just give you guys credit. The last 2 weeks, as opposed to the first week, they've been solid.
Yeah.
They've been solid. We'll say the second half. We'll say about a week and a half. We'll say a week and a half was really bad, and then a week and a half has been really good.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you could really say. You just got to continue to do what you're doing. Rely on Derrick Henry, 28 carries. He's obviously as Derrick goes, your offense goes.
Yeah.
And eating the clock up, playing tough defense. Yeah, Mike Vrabel. I know he's not part of that Belichick
coaching tree.
Well, he did coach in New England, did he? Yeah, he did. Yes, yeah. So he's a part of it. I mean, he's kind of he's his own. He's not using that style.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's using that. So it seems like it's Mike Vrabel style of football. And give him credit. Like he's using his players to the best of their abilities. And I know that's kind of a sensitive saying in Chicago because we're not getting that clearly, but that's what Mike Vrabel's been doing. And the Titans just after that first little blip, with the Cardinals, they've been on a roll, and it's for you. I'm sure it's fun.
It's fun, and then I think it's a very good victory, especially going up against the New York Jets next Sunday. It's going to be you definitely walk into a really good situation for Tennessee where they can win. Then the next couple of weeks, these are all games that are definitely could put up on the board as for W's. And with a very tricky AFC South as far as coming down to 2 teams, you beat the one team that's probably going to compete with you throughout the season. So very big game for Tennessee, or a big win today for the Titans.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like, I'm just still looming on what the hell I just watched from the Chicago Bears. But, it's going to be a dogfight. Like I said, it got real close. It was real close.
Yeah.
Throughout. It was, 14-13?
Yeah.
For a while. Yeah. At one point, 14-13. Colts were in it. And then you just, Titans just kind of pulled away from them. But I would expect it to be a similar type of a ball game the next time around. Like I said, this division is going to one of these two teams, I feel like. It's going to go to one of these two teams. I know the Colts are 0-3, but you have two teams that aren't that great in the Texans and in the
Jaguars.
And the Jaguars. So you could go ahead and make up ground in that division real quick. The Titans still have to win. You saw them struggle with Arizona. They still have to win ball games. The Colts are not out of it by any means.
No,
at 3-0.
Still
0-3, excuse me. Yeah. Some of the scores around the league. You got Atlanta over New York, 17-14. The Chargers, 30-24 over the Kansas City Chiefs. Cincinnati in an upset, 24-10. Where did I go? Oh, yeah, obviously Cleveland beat the crap out of Chicago Bears. Baltimore beats Detroit 19-7. New Orleans, 28-13 over New England. Arizona 31, Jacksonville 19. And the Buffalo Bills beat the Washington football team 43. Was it 23? Number got cut off there.
Who are the...
43-21. 43-21. So it wasn't like our other game wasn't close at all. Washington, we were kind of keeping an eye on it, and then at a certain point, we were just like, all right, well, let's just sink back in and watch the other games. So Washington is not off to a good start. The defense is struggling. 43 points. I know Buffalo is tough, but what's missing from that defense? Like what from last year to this year is missing? Maybe they have to get some type of momentum. Maybe it's a team that picks up momentum late in the season, but for a team that I predicted to win that East, this isn't a good start. And honestly, I don't think any of the teams really had a good start. But Cowboys, I feel like are going to be. I feel like they're going to be tough, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to be tough, but I don't know if you could get over Dak, right? Dak is like the ultimate one-up, I feel like, in that division. Because I don't think any of the other quarterbacks are as solid.
Jalen
as
Hurts,
talented. Jalen Hurts, maybe, but the Eagles team I have questions about as well.
No, it's extremely. I mean, a lot of questions about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think you look at the NFC East, and that's the one division where it's, last season, it was just such a, to sum it up, it was such a pathetic division that is, the most minimal wins still somehow won that division, out of, all the division winners in football. And it's just one of those where you keep your eye on it, but nothing about that division is scary to anyone, and it's like, touching on what you just said right now, it seems like the Cowboys, definitely have their head above water in that division right now. Dak being like, the superior quarterback as far as what, what else is there. With going back to, touching back on Washington today versus Buffalo, it was definitely a pathetic display by the Washington football team. That defense is just way too talented to be getting lit up on the scoreboard like that. But then it speaks highly of the Bills too. Josh Allen, I believe week 1, it's taking that loss to Pittsburgh. They, questions started arising, even though it was just the first week of the season, about is this a different Josh Allen?
Questions are going to arise all season long because we got the Bills. Yeah, we have the Bills. I think all three of us.
Yeah, Bills going to the AFC.
Oh no! I think Luke had Steelers, but both of us had the Bills going to the Super Bowl for the AFC. Yeah. So I would imagine every loss is going to be just picked apart under a microscope. Keep them. You step up after a big loss at home and in the home opener.
Yeah.
Week 2, you step up. Week 3, you got a big win, 43 points. That's huge for that offense, huge for that team. The Buffalo Bills they're going to be tough, man. I have them. We both have them as a Super Bowl picks for the AFC for a reason. They're going to be there the entire way, barring injury. But they had a great game today. They took care of business. Washington needs to figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Marco, I know you're going to take off. We'll get to you guys for the half of the next set of games. I know we got the Bucks and the Rams coming up. That should be a good one. Actually, it's just got underway. So that should be a good one. Hopefully we get Luke in here if he's still alive. But
Drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, drink a lot of water. A lot of rest. No lights. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. For Marco Velasquez, I'm Ivan Vargas. We'll see you at halftime of Bucks and Rams. Peace.
Captain Insano shows no mercy. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy. No mercy.
Straight cash, homie.